Welcome students. Today we are going to study the second part of my previous lecture entitled Contingent Crop Planning for Aberrant Weather Conditions, wherein we have studied meaning of contingent crop planning, different rainfall aberrations and their effects on the crop plants. So today we are going to study the different real-time contingent measures or interventions to mitigate the damaging effects of these rainfall aberrations on the crop plants. So let us study these one by one. Real-time contingent plan measures. Students, you might have heard or observed during your lifetime when there was delayed onset of monsoon during some of the previous years. So when there is delayed onset of southwest monsoon, the crops or the varieties which are regularly grown in the region cannot be sown in time, and if the same variety is sown, it may result in reduced and even sometimes uneconomical crop yield due to the reduction in the length of the growing season. As there are different requirement of photo periods for different crops, so when the particular crop is not exposed to required photo periods during their different phenological growth stages, there is reduction in the yield ultimately. In order to overcome this problem, we have to choose a variety which is having shorter crop duration. So, alternate short duration crops are varieties which can perform better even if sown late in the seasons is the best option. Let us take the example of subtropical rainfed area wherein sowing of pearl millet, sorghum and short duration pulses are considered as the best option to replace the normal sown maize. Now coming to the transplanting, this transplanting is also surely the way of compensating the delay in the commencement of rains. Though transplantation is a labor intensive operation, but the crops which can be raised through the seedlings can be sown in the nursery to overcome the drought or the dry spell period. And when there is sufficient moisture in the soil due to rains, these seedlings from the nursery area can be transplanted. Now, the second is the normal onset of monsoon followed by immediate dry spell. Students, dry spells are common in dryland agriculture, and if the dry spell occurs after the sowing of the crop, it might result in poor germination due to the soil crusting and resulting in the withering of seedlings and hence the poor establishment of the crop. However, if the dry spell is brief or for shorter period and only 25 to 30% of the plant population is affected, then the gap filling is advocated. Otherwise, it is better to go for resowing within a week to 10 days with subsequent rains for a better plant stand than to continue with the inadequate plant stand. So, coming to the next slide, different mid-season corrections or interventions. To mitigate the damaging effects of the droughts after sowing during the mid-season, the following mid-season corrections are recommended, which include ratooning, mulching, thinning, weed control, rainwater harvesting and recycling, foliar spray, stripping of crop leaves, that is the defoliation of the leaves at the bottom of the plant. Now let us start with the first, ratooning. By ratooning means to cut the plant a few centimeters above the base of the plant Students, you all know that the rate of soil moisture depletion increases with the increasing leaf area. If the drought occurs at 40 to 50 days after sowing, the reduction in the leaf area, either by ratooning or thinning plant population, can mitigate the adverse effects of the drought. So far as mulching is concerned, students, if the break in the monsoon is very brief or for a short period, then the soil mulching or dust mulch has been found to be the best tool in extending the period of storage of water in the soil profile due to the reduced heat load on the soil and hence the evaporation losses, which in turn leads to the extended periods of water availability. Soil mulches also minimizes the deep cracking, leading to the reduced evaporation losses. In addition to this, one can also go for use of the locally available organic mulches for use in the inter-row spaces to minimize the evaporation losses. Now thinning. Students, if this dry spell occurs during the pre-flowering stage, thinning is considered very useful. And in that case, every third plant or the alternate row may be removed to reduce the soil moisture loss and preserve it. Moisture stress of 30 to 35 to 50 days can be lessened by such thinning. Now coming to the weed management, students, you all know that the weeds compete with the main crop plants for nutrients, sunlight and moisture. So weed management is very essential to save the crop from the onslaught of drought, as weeds which not only rob the soil moisture but nutrient as well. Now coming to the next, rainfall abrasion, rainwater harvesting and recycling. Uh, Students, in situ water harvesting, that is by compartment bending or sowing across the slope, and runoff recycling, which, uh, which is the ex situ water harvesting, are considered as the potent measures for the crop life saving during the periods of moisture stress. So, supplementary irrigation provided to the crop through rainwater harvesting, particularly during the grain formation stage, will be very much rewarding or helpful, you can say. About 5 centimeter of supplemental irrigation should be applied if the stored water is available during this drought situation. Students, after the relief from the dry spell, in situ moisture conservation practices like opening of the conservation furrow for moisture conservation should be made. Now the foliar spray. Students, you must remember that avoid top dressing of fertilizers until the receipt of the rains. After receiving from the after relieving from the dry spell, the foliar spray of 2% potassium nitrate or 2% urea solution or 1% water soluble mixed fertilizers like 19 is to 19 is to 19 or 20 is to 20 is to 20 grade should be applied. Also, one can apply additional 10 kg of nitrogen per hectare as a part of top dressing after relieving from the dry spell to compensate the decrease in the growth rate because of the unfavorable situation. Now coming to the stripping of the crop leaves, or you can also say the defoliation of the leaves. Here, students, the defoliation of leaves at the bottom of the plant is recommended because generally the photosynthesis occur in the upper 3 to 4 leaves. Hence, excluding those leaves, lower leaves from the plant may be removed to reduce transpiration losses, and the removed leaves can be used as mulch. For example, in case of the maize, during such situation, leaving the upper three to 4 leaves, the lower leaves can be removed and can be used as mulch in the inter-row spaces to reduce the evaporation losses. Now, coming to the terminal drought, which is also we can say that when there is early cessation of southwest monsoon rains. During the reproductive or grain filling stage, the crop suffers from moisture stress due to the early cessation of rainy season, which may cause the rise in temperature and hence responsible for the forced crop maturity, thereby resulting in a reduction in the yield because the grain yield of the crop is highly correlated with the moisture availability during this reproductive stage of the growth. So, by providing the life-saving or supplementary irrigation through the harvested water is recommended, and depending upon the availability of the moisture, and also harvesting the crop at physiological maturity with some realizable yield, or otherwise one can harvest the crop for fodder purpose. For example, let us take the situation in case of the maize crop. One can go for plucking the green cobs and selling the same in the market to fetch some income, and stover of the maize can be used as fodder. Now, after harvesting, to prepare the field for ensuing rabi season in case of the double cropped areas, for conserving the moisture which is to be received during the winter rains for timely sowing of the rabi crops. Also, one can plan in the beginning to sow the short duration high yielding varieties to escape the late season drought situation. Now, the extended monsoon, or you can say late withdrawal of the monsoon. This extended monsoon is not considered as a big problem. In spite, it benefits the long duration crops which are taken as a component crops in the intercropping system, and is also advantageous for the rabi crops. So students, till now we have studied what is contingent crop planning, what are the different rainfall aberrations, what are the impacts on the crops, and how the different interventions are helpful in mitigating all these rainfall aberrations. Now, you have to do one exercise at your home, and what is that? Students, what contingent crop plan will you suggest to a farmer in your region where maize is grown as a major kharif crop in the subtropical rain-fed region? In case if there is dry spell immediately after sowing, if there is mid-season drought during the crop sowing period, and during the terminal drought. During all three situations, you have to suggest the different interventions to the farmer in case of the maize crop, so that farmer may get maximum possible yield from his crop. Thank you. धन्यवाद.